Well, Jeff, so just if you could clarify this for me a little bit. So J.K. Dobbins was tendered by the Chargers, correct? And I don't know what exactly that means. He's supposed to make 1.4. What do the Broncos have to give him? And if they do sign him, do they have to give up a draft pick as well?
To my knowledge, they don't have to give up a draft pick, but it is a weird sort of restricted free agency, old school tendering, but I think they only have to sort of match or beyond. And this tender, I think from what I looked at it, and it's been a bit, but I think it's right of first refusal for the Chargers. If they match, if they give them a raise, the Chargers can't do anything about that.
Okay.
That was it, though.
So in the tender thought was just like $1.5 million or something.
I think that's it. Again, it's been a minute since I looked at it, and he obviously hasn't gotten the number he's wanted because, I mean, he's still out there, and taking a visit in June. So, but he was in the building at the end of practice today. So
is he the starter if they sign him?
To me, it looks a lot like you're replacing Javonte Williams with a similar player at this point. I mean, he had two really good games last year. His best game of the year may have been against the Broncos, and maybe that's what they're looking at. But the rest of the year, he averaged about 3.8 a carry. The rest of the season, he missed 4 with an MCL sprain. He's missed a season with an injury and missed all but one game with an injury in another season. So again, he's similar build to Javonte, probably a little more explosive at his best. But this looks to me like they're still concerned about third down at running back and who would play it, pass protection, all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they think this would help.
Why does Sean hate estimate?
I don't know. Hate might be a strong word, but again, I think, Scotty, this is all third down. They're pretty deep in the offseason program at this point. And, look, I know you can't grade pass protection without pads, but you can grade the choices players make and who they pick out, in the rush and those types of things. And this tells me there's still some discomfort from the head coach about what they do at running back on third down.
Jeff wrote a nice piece, kind of the off season of Bo Nix, the development of Bo Nix, and the relationship he has with Sean Payne at ESPN.com. What kind of thoughts did you have while you were putting that together, Jeff? What kind of observations kind of stood out to you?
Well, I think to me, you divide a quarterback into two different sort of developmental categories. One is just the football part, and one is how you handle the job. And I asked Elway once a long time ago, what was tougher in your career, doing the job or having the job? And he said, having the job, no contest. And I think, whatever Bo Nix needs to work on as a football player, throws he needs to make, choices he needs to make, what he sees from defenses, all that stuff is one thing. But I think the one big thing he has in his favor, no matter, what he can or can't do as a football player, I think one thing he has in his favor is a great self-awareness of where he is as a player, sort of as a person. I do think it's an important thing for young guys, especially a quarterback, to have that self-awareness. What good things that I did, are they really good? And what bad things, were they really bad? He has a great self-awareness at a position where everyone's going to have an opinion about what you're doing. And I think those guys kind of make it over the long haul if he maintains that. And it's something his teammates talk about, even privately, when they wouldn't have to say those things, but they do because it's real. And I think that's, I don't think, sometimes quarterbacks don't earn the respect of the locker room because they don't work hard enough. It's just a basic thing. The other guys want to see you work the hardest. And if you don't like that, or don't think it's fair, because it's probably not. You shouldn't be a quarterback because that's what your teammates expect from you. And I think those two things are big things in his favor moving forward.
Feels to me like maybe the biggest standout of the 2 days that I've seen has been Devon Vele. Are you surprised at all how entrenched he seems to be with the starting wide receiver group?
No, I mean, he's reliable, Tyler. He's where he's supposed to be, and he makes contested catches. And that, quarterbacks love the guys who they can throw the ball, a little bit into traffic, and their guy's going to come down with it. That gets the quarterbacks to keep coming back to you. And I do think he had a good day today again. I think Hufanga has stood out in some of the stuff I've looked at too. But offensively, Vele's been, and I think Vele and Mims have really shown they came into this offseason program with some intent to show, like, hey, you can draft all the people you want. We
ain't going nowhere. Hey, it's staying with the offensive side of it. It surprised us a while ago. We looked it up. They were 10th in scoring last year. They averaged 25 points a game. I don't know if that surprised you or if you already knew that. But second of all, do you see this team adding to that number for this upcoming season?
I think what they need more of, Scotty, and they get it for the first score in the playoff game, but they need more explosive scoring.
Yeah.
They're a good team when they're better at most teams going the proverbial long way, 80 yards in 8 plays. They need a little less of that, and a little more. Defense gets them a turnover and they turn it into a touchdown 3 plays later. They need more of that type of scoring.
That's the foot on the throat. Like, we're just going to take you out right now, and then we can play a little defense and just grind it out.
Well, that's what, and go back to my days calling the games with Elway. If they got a turnover, Shanahan was going to try to bury you in the next 2 plays.
No, it was that was Mike's big, and he took that from Bill Walsh. The quick change is your opportunity to really, say you scored the series before, you can have a 14-play swing, a 10-play swing in a matter of just 2 game minutes. And they just need more of that. They can't keep grinding out long drive after long drive. And I don't think that's how you win the biggest games. Is you got to have that component where you can take the other guy's mistake and just turn it into something.
Well, it's similar to basketball. Points off turnovers is a huge NBA stat.
Whenever the Nuggets struggled, that was the big thing.
So if you turn it over, okay, if you can minimize it, but points off turnovers, and never mind impactful points, like Jeff just said. Like, if it takes the wind out of you. Watching the Broncos offense back in the day with Elway, it took your breath away.
Yeah.
And I think Jeff, golly, man, when was the last? I guess Peyton Manning had some of that, right? We had some of that back in 2013, right?
Oh, they would turn it quick, 2014, 2013 especially. They were coming after you if they got the turnover.
But that's not only the athletes you need to be able to do that. That's the mentality you have to have.
Yeah.
And maybe a little tougher, going back to give Bo a little credit, maybe a little tougher for a rookie to really grasp a hold of it. Maybe that's one of the things we see now in growth in Bo Nix is, okay, you are a veteran. You talked about it a while ago, Jeff. He's a lot more calmer. It's a different type of mentality. He's out there working hard. Then now all of a sudden he goes, you know what? I ain't fighting for a job. I got the job. Here we go.
Well, Jeff wrote about it too. Like, hey, man, you did go to those Avs games and the Nuggets games and throw out the first pitch. Blah, blah. You know what? You ran for mayor and won. He did in the offseason. Never mind winning on the football field too. Like, I think, Jeff, I think Bo Nix has all the authority with this team that it's his team.
I think everybody assumes that. I mean, you're talking to guys who signed here in free agency, and they're talking about Nix as being one of the 5 or 6 components. Obviously money is a big component, but they talk about Bo Nix being one of those 5 or 6 things that were on their list as a long-term quarterback solution type thing. But some of it's just you're always drilling a rookie quarterback. Don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. That's not conducive to
explosive
plays in the moment. So some of that is the coaches as well, giving them sort of the green light. If you see it in those situations, take the big bite of the apple, as it were.
All right, Jeff. Great job as always. Anything else from today that stood out? Anything else we should know before we let you go?
You mean any non-Aaron Rodgers news? No, I mean, I just think you can tell this team had one of the most, the highest percentage of roster retention from last year in the league, because it's been a very smooth, type practices when we've been out there. And I've been told a lot of the other workouts have been the same. You can tell this team is, he brought this group back because he feels good about it.
I know when we're getting to, hey, how was it having Peyton Manning out here and flag football questions in 2028? We're running out of steam, Jeff, with a little bit of questioning.
Press conference.
Yeah. So, but that's okay. What's your best?
What was that one? I must have been walking to the car.
Which one?
The flag football question.
That was like one of the last questions.
Yeah,
it was football. What do you think about play? When is that? It's 28.
Oh, okay.
It was officially,
I don't think it's been decided.
It was officially question 17. I was jotting them down. Jeff. We hit flag football question at question 17 today, and actually, Sean did have a funny answer. He goes, "I'm more focused on Friday than football in 28." So we can roll with him on that one. Jeff, what's your best guess? They going to have a final day of minicamp, or are we just going to cut it short after 2 days and call it a day until call it summer break a day early? What do you think?
History says he's having a final day, so that I'll side with that right now as far as percentages. If it was Mike Shanahan, I'd say they're going bowling 100%, but I think they have a final day.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
You bet.